Hello and salutations, it's me Salty, welcome to 2 Cents to Us, and today we're talking about the Purge Stormtrooper, which is a, extreme Gamestop exclusive in that it's hidden behind a paywall where you have to get the Jedi Fallen Order Deluxe Edition for around $70, and then you're able to buy this. I pre-ordered the whole kit and caboodle a few months ago. I don't know if these are still available or not. I don't know if you go in your local GameStop and buy the Jedi Fallen Order Deluxe Edition if you were able to acquire one of these or if they were pre-order only. I don't have that answer for you. But I do have some further guidance on the sale of this figure beyond that. We'll go over that in a minute. First, I want to get this out of the way. I already recorded the review for this, the whole thing, went to go edit it, and realized that, like a dum-dum, I had my microphone turned off the entire time. So we're redoing it. Some eagle-eyed viewers might notice that the tape has already been cut on the top, so that's why. But looking at the box, we get this really cool artwork here of the Purge Trooper itself. I know it says Purge Stormtrooper, but Purge Trooper for brevity's sake. I really like how the red pops on this kind of black armor. I really like that. I think it's cool. You get the Jedi Fallen Order logo down here, Hasbro, all that jazz. You can see we get the figure and 2 rifles. I know there's nothing else behind there because I've already opened it. On the side of the box, it's just red. There is no number because it's an exclusive. It says Purge Trooper. On the other side of the box, we get Purge Stormtrooper and Purge Stick because, I don't know, this is cool, I guess. Back of the box, we get the same artwork. We get a little read-up about, their little role to play in the game, all the legalese down here at the bottom. Jedi Fallen Order logo again. Top of the box is blank. Still got a J-hook though. On the bottom of the box is a bunch of legalese, and you can see this GameStop price tag where it has all these abbreviations. It's, AF, Action Figure, Star Wars, Black Series, Fallen Order, Sell Date, Street Date, and then the release date, and then Bundle Only is what it says. So you are not able to buy these. You have to buy the Deluxe Edition game, and then you can buy this. I don't know, again, if these are for sale or not. I know they create these barcodes just so they can scan it out of their system, but I don't know if you're able to buy these after the fact. I think you had to pre-order the whole thing. Don't quote me on that. Just go down or call your local GameStop and ask them. That's the only advice I can give you on that, if you're interested. But since we covered the box art, let's go ahead and get them out of the packaging again and go over everything else. So here's the Purge Trooper out of the packaging. Against some other troopers like the TIE Fighter Pilot, Scarif Trooper, Clone Trooper, Sand Trooper, Stormtrooper, just so you get kind of a height comparison and you kind of see what it would look like against your other troopers that you may own. Before anything else, let's go over what else is in the packaging. We got the standard blaster that comes with a lot of them. It's just straight molded black, but it does fit in his hand very nicely. It's very snug. We also got the long range rifle, which is pretty standard with a lot of these figures. It's also molded in black, but we do get a little bit, it doesn't really show up on the camera, but there's some spackling, like a little bit of silver, maybe some glitter, kind of give it a different look. Came out straight, which I appreciate. Usually they come out, bent like that or something. Came out nice and does fit in the hand pretty well. Which brings us to the Purge Trooper himself. It is almost entirely a reuse of the Clone Trooper, as you can see next to him. It's the same armor, same pauldrons, even the same joints. Hand articulation is the same, thigh armor, knee joints, down to the boots. Everything is basically reused from the Clone Trooper, which makes sense because the game takes place 5 years after the, episode 3, so the armor would still be in circulation for the most part. We also get some slight reuse from the Sand Trooper. The pauldron is somewhat similar. It's a little smaller. They kind of shrunk it down a little bit, or that could just be the color, playing tricks on me. It's overall the same sculpt. You see that we get the the angled lines here, they're also here. The stress marks here where this is pinned down is also there. So it's mostly reuse, but just a little bit smaller. The only really original thing that we get is the helmet. The helmet is a new sculpt, and I really like the way that it looks. It doesn't really show up on camera so well, but the visor here is kind of a dark red maroon, which looks really nice against the black, but again, doesn't really show up on camera so well. We also have cloth goods down here on the skirt, kind of like the Clone Commander Fox, which I would do a comparison, but for those that don't know, I'm getting ready to move. So these troopers just happen to be around my desk. A lot of the other stuff is already packed up in boxes, getting ready to move, and the comparisons for figures will mostly come to a stop until I'm done moving and moved into my next place and I'm all set up. With that, videos are going to be happening less and less frequently because I'm moving, so a lot of stuff's getting packed up, and Eventually, my computer and everything else is going to have to get packed up as well. I'll keep doing videos as regularly as I can until I'm set up in my new place and get my office up and going and everything else. I have some gripes with this figure, mostly quality control, and we'll go over that, but first let's go over articulation. Head looks up that far, buries the chin, looks side to side, decent amount of tilt, small amount of shifting. Now, the shoulders only come up this far, and I've tried pushing the pauldron down to get in the shoulder there so I can get a further range of motion, but unfortunately it just does not want to cooperate. It doesn't seem to want to work, and all I end up doing is bending the pauldron a little bit, so that's unfortunate. Left arm can spin 360 with no problem. Because of the pauldron, the right arm does not get that full range of motion. It'll come up that far, and it'll go back that far. Now, you could flay the arm out a little bit to try and get it to spin 360, but it's just not, it's not really worth fighting this strap under here, really, in my opinion. But we get a bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows come up at a 90. They suffer from the same fate that a lot of the troopers do, and that this elbow joint has a little extra plastic on it, so you can't get much further past that. The right hand is the trigger hand, so it has an up and down hinge, also swivels. The left hand has a standard hinge that goes in and out, also swivels. The belt is a floating item. Pushing the belt out of the way allows him to lean forward a little bit, and he can lean further back than he can forward. We get some side to side and some swivel as well. The thigh armor, just like the clone, is pointed, so if you turn the thigh a little bit, he'll be able to kick forward at a 90. He can kick back a little bit. He can kick out at a 45. As I mentioned, we have thigh swivel that's hidden underneath the armor. Double jointed knees only come up that far, again because we get this band in the knee pad that goes behind the leg, so it hinders his range of motion a little bit. Just like the other clone trooper, his greaves kind of come down past his ankle joint a little bit, so that's as far back as the ankle goes forward, and a rocker. So that covers the articulation in the Purge Trooper. It's the same range of motion that the clones get usually. Now it's time for some complaints. I have some paint bleeding up here on the pauldron. You can see it's supposed to be black along the edge here, and I got some red that bled down. The skirt here, you can see where the red started, but the black seam continues out a little further. Nothing that a little, some scissors and a lighter won't fix. His left ankle has almost no detents in it, so I get this kind of wobbly left ankle, which has caused him to fall over a couple of times. But the biggest offense in production on my particular figure is that when they put the left forearm on, they didn't ensure that the peg had traveled all the way through before they put him into the box. So now the peg is kind of smushed and warped a little bit, and I get this going on. You can see there that the peg is not through the forearm and is not secured at all. I'm trying to show you the peg itself, but it's not really showing up on the camera so well. You can see that the peg did not go through, especially if I do that. But I'm going to give it a little boil and pop and see if I can fix that myself. Otherwise, it's just going to be a blemish that I got to live with. Some praise, though. I do like the paint apps on this. Other than that pauldron, I don't have much in the way of bleeding. These chevrons here, I don't know if they're supposed to be pointed here on the seam of this armor or if they're supposed to be off to the side, but I don't have any bleeding, especially here on the forearms. The same chevron design is really nice, gives it a little bit of character, a little something extra. The Empire seal on his shoulder is crisp. I don't have any bleeding or anything like that going on. The red circles back here on the back are great. No bleeding there either. I always like cloth goods over molded plastic for these sorts of things, because as we see with the pauldron, any kind of molded plastic that's supposed to be a cloth-like material, whether it be leather or cotton or anything like that, it's going to hinder articulation. So when they do this, like they did with Clone Commander Fox, I like that we're able to get that range of motion because this is cloth. That being said, if you've seen production images for the Plo Koon that's coming out and it looks like a brown napkin, I like it when they do cloth correctly, when it looks nice, when it hangs right. So hopefully they fix that by the time Plo Koon actually comes out, because otherwise that's just gonna go somewhere else, because it looks pretty bad, I think. But there you have it. That is the Purge Stormtrooper, which is like a GameStop hyper exclusive, I guess is what we could call it. I really like troopers, so it was an easy buy for me. I was gonna get the game anyway, and yeah, it was, $100 price tag almost between the Trooper and the Deluxe Edition, but I bought it hook, line, and sinker, because I wanted that exclusive figure. I'm a toy collector first and foremost. But that's the conversation I'd like to have down in the comments. What you think about putting a figure like that behind a paywall. Like, I've complained about it before with conventions, especially my rant against Hasbro. I feel this is slightly different in that anyone could pre-order it and get the figure. It wasn't, limited to 1,000 figures or whatever the case may be. it's an exclusive, but it's an exclusive that everyone has a chance to get. So I guess in my mind that makes it a little bit different and slightly less kind of shisty. But at the same time, if you're a clone trooper or any kind of trooper enthusiast and completionist and you have to have it, I think that's also a little shisty. But the figure also wasn't announced until, I'd say, I think it was a few weeks ago. Up until then, it was an unknown, so you didn't know who you were getting. But that's a conversation I'd like to see down in the comments about for and against, whether you think this is okay because everyone had a chance to get it, whether it's not okay and shouldn't have been behind a paywall anyway and should have just been a launch, make this figure available at launch of the game, or, whatever your stance may be. So if you like this review or like this figure, then like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you didn't, let me know why down in the comments. We'll have a discussion about it. And that's really all I got for you today. Expect a video about the Choppa or the Kappa issue that's plaguing YouTube, or will very soon, and future of my channel and content that I might make. So if that's something that you're interested in me talking about, it's coming down the pipeline. And until next time, thanks for stopping by. I'm Salty, signing off.